Okay, so we're talking about a newer version of Exchange Server. So the main question that comes to mind is, well, what exactly is new here? What's been changed? Well, first and foremost, Microsoft's taken a hard look at security and privacy. It's very well documented in the press every day that there's all kind of security concerns with Microsoft products. The fact of the matter is there's security concerns with everybody's products out there. Microsoft gets a lot of press because they're Microsoft. Microsoft put together the security initiative to handle some of these things, and we'll talk about some of the security and privacy improvements that's been added to Exchange Server 2003. Client features got a lot of attention here. There were a lot of Outlook improvements. There were improvements to Outlook Web Access. This thing has grown tremendously in every version of Exchange since 5.0, and no exception here. In Outlook Web Access and in Outlook, Microsoft has really gone after making these two client products much easier to use, much more efficient, much easier on the eyes for clients. Because one thing, I guess you've noticed it in your own life, it's amazing that 15 years ago we didn't have email, or very few of us had access to email over VAX systems at work or so forth. And now it's a communication medium we can't live without. For most of us, it documents our workday. And so the cleaner and more efficient these interfaces can be, the better it is for everybody. And so Outlook Web Access got a lot more features added to it. The user interface has been cleaned up quite a bit. You can now do your inbox rules through Outlook Web Access. You haven't been able to do that before. Readability has drastically been improved. They've changed the way some indenting and layout is in Outlook Web Access. There's been some considerable performance increases. One of the things Microsoft has done, and you'll hear this mentioned quite a bit, is they've changed the way link state is checked and maintained. And we'll talk about link state later when we're talking about routing groups and figuring out how to move mail around the organization. Outlook Web Access performance has improved. Not only does it look better and a little easier to use and has more functionality, it's also faster. The reliability on Exchange has been enhanced quite a bit with the Mailbox Recovery Center. This makes it much easier to recover a single mailbox after an unintentional deletion or a failure. There's also now a recovery storage group, which again helps us in recovering individual mailboxes and so forth. Clustering has been improved with Exchange Server 2003. That's outside the scope of this particular course. We will talk about it briefly, but I would refer you to some of the documentation out there on Microsoft's Exchange website. Storage has been improved as part of a piggyback option on Windows Server 2003. We can take advantage of the shadow copy backup. And if you hadn't heard about that, you're going to like this. This makes it real fast and easy to get a hold of information that's been backed up. Mailbox Merge Wizard makes it possible to pull mailboxes from previous versions of Exchange and so forth. We'll talk about that. Improved public folder store replication. Now, replication has been one of those issues that you've always had to watch for in Exchange because you could inundate your network with data changes, and public folder store replication has been drastically improved here. The administration tools have changed, and you're going to like what you see in those administration tools. One of the main things that they've done, you're going to see when you open Exchange System Manager, it's not a whole lot of drastic changes, but they've brought more functionalities into the System Manager. We can now do things there that we used to have to go out to the registry to do, or we have to used to go somewhere else to do. So they've pumped that up quite a bit. Transport and message flow. I've already mentioned these link state improvements, but notice here's the big one. We can now do cross-forest SMTP mail, and our Exchange organization can now go across the forest. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. Connection filtering. We have a lot more filtering to prevent spam and viruses and so forth in our organization. So as you can see, there's a lot of changes. Again, nothing here is really huge, but a lot of little things that add up to a much more efficient, much more user-friendly, easier to administer environment. So with that, let's go take a look at some basic email functionalities, and I want to begin to draw some pictures for you, especially those of you who are new to Exchange, on exactly what's going on here and how to get a mental image of what Exchange is doing.